Hi.
But
Sorry again about that.
Yeah.
The holidays got me all confused. Mostly because I still have shopping to do. So I'm like, I'll
there
just
like
do
another
that
ugly sweater
tonight.
party at your gym?
Hmm?
Is there another ugly sweater party at your gym or something?
No, I was just late. And yeah, I wasn't expecting. For some reason, was holidays got me thinking there's nothing going on tonight, and I needed to go shopping, and I thought I would do that, and now I'm not doing that. I guess until tomorrow.
Well, yeah, I gotta do a little bit more shopping. I hate Christmas. Bah humbug.
All right, I suppose we're gonna be closer to 9, so we'll get started. Let's see, last episode was about. That's right. That's right. Apparently, my favorite episode.
This one? Or
the,
last
the
one?
last one, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I still think that's true, even having watched, well, sort of spoilers. I think this, I still think that was the best
Spoiler
of the
alert.
whole thing. All right, well, let's get
I
started.
tried to make this not long, but there's so much jumping around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy you have the last one because, God.
No, my notes are already in there. But I think I have to watch it again and just fill in the gaps. It's
Yeah, I'll probably have to watch it again just to refresh the mind of everything that happened.
Wow, this ads manager on Twitch tells me there's an ad playing right now. That's perfect. Thanks, ad. All right. I guess we'll get started anyway. In 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Disnerds Plus, where we talk about your favorite nerdy shows on Disney Plus. This is episode 54 for Thursday, December 21st, 2023. We're talking about episode 5 of season 2 of Loki, science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Shane.
Hey, I'm Mike.
Well, hello there.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah. How's it going?
Going great. Going great. It's almost the end of the year.
Yes, very close. I don't know where the year went to you.
Nope.
Came and went.
It flew by.
Mm-hmm. Every season seemed to just,
Seems like it goes faster and faster every year.
or at least the
I need
perception.
I need one of those temp pads so I can just like slow time down, or just make myself slow down and then just be able to jump wherever I want to go.
But those remind me. Yeah, didn't even realize today was the winter solstice. Is what 9:27
Shortest day of the year.
9:27 p.m. or 27 minutes away basically. I didn't know it was a specific time. But that would make today the first day of winter, which seems weird. Like, I always, in my head, well, mostly because we get snow in November a lot of times, makes me think, like, winter is a lot sooner.
I think we used to get it a lot more in November.
Yeah.
Maybe when we were kids, it seemed a lot more all the time, but now it's just not there all the time.
We did get a little bit this year, but.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But that was like I remember Halloween happened.
Yeah.
There was one time before or after hunting. I don't know. Can't remember.
Yeah. And depends what part of the country you're in and everything, of course. Or even the state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the north. Definitely got it. But
In the north, then you got snow.
mm-hmm. Okie doke. Hey, let's get into it.
Previously
on Loki. So when we had Miss Minutes and Renslayer partnering up, more or less, at least at the very beginning, it was kind of like we see him and then we don't see him again until later. But Timely wound up in the TEA and kind of convinced him to go with them, and he got all excited to meet OB, and then they wanted to sign each other's shit, and so then they started working on the throughput multiplier with his little glow device that looked, as you mentioned, conspicuously like the chair thing. What was it again?
Yeah.
The what chair? Time chair?
Yeah.
Time share. Sylvie got pissed about pie. There was Docs and her crew, which somehow kind of like seemed to make a turn. Like they supposedly they made it out to be the whole time they were basically just trying to protect the TVA, which is all they ever knew. And then so they sounded like they were maybe going to cooperate with B-15 possibly until freaking Renslayer and Miss Minutes show up and do some serious damage. And then Brad turns out to continue to be an asshole by,
Of course,
not going with them. But
he just looks like a sleazy little asshole anyway.
mm-hmm.
You know.
Yep. I mean, again, like I will say though, PTSD being in that box before, like not to say that, I don't know, it's a tough one. Like if I were in that situation, yeah, like I'd like to hope I would side with, Docs in this case, but that does not sound like a pleasant death at all. Yeah, Loki and Sylvie, they kind of had a little bit of a heart-to-heart about, like, basically doing the right thing there in Pieland.
The right thing.
Timely, what's that?
I don't know why I sang that.
Why not? It's late, I guess. Timely was very impressed by a hot cocoa machine. Well, first he actually he sees the cup, and I guess the cup with the cocoa in it was his first what is that? Miss Minutes ended up taking full control of the TVA. Then Timely, they're on the search for him. They see the spilled coffee because Brad ended up pruning another one of the hunters there, and Renslayer and Miss Minutes try to basically get Timely to admit where this device is, and yeah, now that I think about it, I guess I wasn't clear on if they were talking about like the throughput multiplier as a whole or his specific part of it. But yeah, because what would they have known about? They would know about just his part of it.
Yeah.
Because he had it in the previous episode.
Yeah.
So then, Then Miss Minutes makes things difficult for Loki and Sylvie. She makes things. Oh, yeah, that's right, because the elevator situation.
Yeah, she kind of blocks them off from each other.
Mm-hmm. And then we get Loki re-experiencing his experience from the first episode with the elevator and the ringing and the whatnot. Yeah, fun, like I'll call it. Okay, I'll say spoilers. If you never saw the movie 12 Monkeys, I'll just leave it at that. 12 Monkeys situation. That's a movie that's like 25 years old, so or 30 years old, maybe even probably. So I'll leave it at that. Go see that movie if you haven't. Um, but Miss Minutes then they ended up rebooting, and they found out that the whole time they basically could have done this for Loki and Sylvie to get their powers back. And then Brad gets used for good. Yeah, he gets they basically trick him into coming out into the darkness, and Sylvie takes control to make him end up pruning Renslayer.
Yay.
Give her a taste of her own medicine. And then Timely gets taken back to the loom, and well, we know what happens after that. He volunteers to go down there, and yeah, we didn't really talk about the reference in the to this in the first episode about the spaghettification that Obi specifically talks about. He kind of just like blows past, but yeah, turns out that is a real thing, and
it's a real thing only on Loki.
And this was
in
the
Disney, MCU world.
Oh well, it's a theory about going into a black hole. Also, I believe, not like that. I mean, I think it's basically described as like, breaking down to the smallest possible quantity. Like every part of the thing that goes in the black hole gets basically broken down to such a small quantity that it turns into a string, kind of a. I think that's where they get the concept anyway.
All to just matter.
Yeah.
Biomatter.
Right. While still being sucked through, I guess. So, like, that's essentially how I think that would work, right?
Like, feel it all? That'd be weird.
No. They've also, I think scientists have also said it would just be so instantaneous you wouldn't feel it. Like, but so although based on his scream in this, that's doesn't appear to be the case for this particular one. But anyway, so that was the most suspenseful part of the entire series, and I still find that to be the case. So much so, the biggest cliffhanger that maybe one of the biggest cliffhangers I've ever seen on TV, to the point where I had to watch the next episode and the next episode. So here we are, though, because it was such a cliffhanger, and because thankfully all the episodes had already been released at this point, we pick up right around here.
Yeah. And we start with the Loki back in the loom room. Is it the
loom room? That's great.
All of a sudden you just see it's very bright. Kind of like we cut off from the last episode to this, and it just comes into focus, and you start seeing Loki's eyes open in the loom room control, or loom control room. The loom room control. That sounds kind of cooler. Anyway, as he's looking around, everyone else is gone, and you see in the background the loom is pretty much it's failing at this time. So then he leaves the loom room and starts walking down the hallway, and then basically start seeing him jump around to the main TVA hallways. So we're back basically in the TVA area. I guess we were the loom, but yeah. Anyway, starts walking around the TVA and hears a computer voice over the PA system. System says, "Failsafe mode initiated." And as that happens, Loki starts to time slip, and he's like, "Not again!" Like freaking out, like this. I thought I fixed this kind of, this is done, but no, he's time slips again. So he time slips into the control room where he sees himself with the TVA handbook, says hello to the other Loki, and then he time slips back to where he was just a moment ago. So he's just in a hallway on his own. Which, I mean, it looks painful, that time slip, I gotta say.
Did we talk about? Did you talk about how there's all the? Oh, sorry, you just mentioned that part. Or you were about to mention that part. The
What's
fail-safe
that?
part. The all the
Oh,
signs and the speed the yeah. Keep going. Sorry.
anyway, so then Loki's back where he started before he time slipped, and he enters the control room where he just time slipped to. I'm sorry, it gets really confusing. Uh, and so then he sees the TVA book, picks it up, and as that's happening, we see an early version of Loki in the background, and it says hello, and then time slips away. And then the current Loki just looks up and back over there and says hello, like he already knew what just happened there. We then hear a sound and start seeing the control room spaghettify away. As that's happening, Loki time slips away, and then you see the control room monitor spaghettify away and shows Miss Minutes and says, "Thank you for your service," and then it's gone.
Yeah. So I was just, I guess, reiterating the fail-safe mode initiated part. That's kind of blurring this whole time, and I was kind of confused about that at first. But this is, yeah, I'm still a little confused about it. So like, this is obviously after everyone else gets spaghettified,
Mm-hmm.
but like, how does he escape? Like, presumably there's
Also,
still
he just time
radiation.
slips. What's
Yeah,
that?
but presumably
I,
there's still the radiation.
you think, but somehow his time slipping made him get out of there, so he doesn't
Yeah,
get
so he
spaghettified.
got further away from the radiation, basically. Like, is that what's happening?
Sure.
Or maybe
I don't
I'm
know.
thinking, so the fail-safe mode must somehow keep it at bay or something, right? Like,
Maybe, but I mean, if the whole TVA is spaghettified,
right. Yeah,
it's gone.
exactly.
I don't know.
Or maybe you can be
Okay.
exposed to it for a certain amount of time or something like that. But yeah, so I think this was an important point of when they first show Timely gets spaghettified, that he very quickly his strands of spaghetti also evaporate,
Yep,
which explains why nobody else is around here as well.
makes sense. But he also is God. But then where Sylvie tried to probably just like
Well, gods die.
disappeared as well. No?
I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
Odin. Spoilers.
Oh, how dare you! Okay. So after all that happens, we cut to what looks like a jail cell. And in the jail cell, you see what obviously looks like a dummy laying in the bed. Um,
Yeah, I gotta say, I did like that was my initial thought, and then I'm like, maybe he's just got heavy makeup on or something.
yeah,
I had to go back again, like, oh yeah, yeah. No, but I'll
yeah.
get.
I'm like, this thing looks like it's carved out of like someone tried to carve a little piece of wood to try and make it look like a head.
And
It's,
I'll get more to that in a moment, but yeah, there's a particular reason for that.
so then, all of a sudden we keep going. The camera kind of pans down, and we see Casey under the bed, which was interesting. And then he's basically hiding under the bed, under the dummy's bed. Yeah. He crawls out from underneath the bed and basically gets to the wall and looks like he's carved out a piece of the wall out so he can, you know, get ready for his escape. And all of a sudden he meets two other inmates. So then they get out of there and crawl through the back walls of this prison and basically get outside and get to the the outside area is before they get outside, you hear a boat in the background, so you're like, okay, they're near some water. As they escape and get to what looks like the beach, we hear Casey say, "Hurry up, or they'll gut you like a fish." And that like brought me back to season 1 when Loki said that to Casey.
Really?
Yeah.
Funny.
So that was fun. Callback. Then you hear like a background noise, and it was Loki time slipping into that location. Loki calls out Casey, and then Casey has no idea who Loki is. Casey asks how he got here, and Loki has no idea where he is until Casey tells him he's on Alcatraz. I'm like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, because initially it says San Francisco, right? I think, and or
I think
did
so,
it?
yeah.
Did it specific? Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know if it said San
I thought it
Francisco.
said, I thought it all it said was San Francisco, and I like immediately recognized it. But yeah, maybe I don't remember now.
Yeah. I mean, you could know. You could just go back to the beginning and look at it.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty. The Rock is pretty recognizable either way.
So then once he hears he's on Alcatraz, Loki starts kind of freaking out about saying he has no idea how he got here and what's going on. And while Loki is saying Casey, the other 2 inmates say Frank, and they're like, "Why does he keep calling you Casey?"
Yeah. So this is the first time we hear Frank, which confirms him being Frank Morris, the
Oh
actual
yeah, that's right. This is based off a true
one of the
event.
actual only ever, well, quote unquote successful. I think it's the only one ever escaped from people to escape from Alcatraz, but
That's if they made it alive. I mean,
presumed to be right. That's why in quotes successful. Most presumably passed away. However, yeah, didn't make it in the river. But there's like pictures of a guy that's on Google named Frank Morris that I wonder if they think that was him. Also, what is the name of Sean Connery's character in? Oh no, I don't know if he's based John Patrick Mason. Sean Connery's character in The Rock. I think it wasn't his deal. He was supposed to be someone that escaped Alcatraz.
thought so. It's been a while since I watched that movie, but yeah.
Mark.
Huh?
Curious. What are the 3 guys from? Okay, so he's a fictional character because that's all just Sean Connery photos. Maybe loosely based off of one of these 3 guys though. But yeah, so if you Google Frank Morris though, you will immediately see the picture of the dummy. Which they got, so they got that pretty right, like the plaster dummy that's in the top bunk also.
That's good. The art department was very thorough in their searching.
Yeah, very historically accurate. It's just weird to think that Casey is this is Alcatraz inmate.
Well, Frank Morris is Casey. That's what it is. It's crazy. So yeah, then Loki is surprised they're calling him Frank, and Casey/Frank tells Loki he doesn't know him. He's basically on his own. Casey/Frank and the other 2 inmates move to shore. Loki time slips again, so then he's just gone. All of a sudden, we see Loki time slip to McDonald's driveway,
More
and
modern day,
then
like the most modern version of it that we've seen so far in the series. Right?
yeah, yep. And then we jump to outside of a jet ski shop. What looks like there's jet skis on the outside, and then jumps to the TVA again. So yeah, he's time slipping all these locations. Eventually stops at TVA time theater and looks around before he slipped away again. He likes to slip a lot.
Yep.
So yeah, then we jump over to New York 2012 branch timeline. I
We
wonder
know
if this
when
is
that
like,
was.
yeah. Wonder if this was the what original, still the same Avenger team, or if it was different. So we
Yeah, I didn't
see,
even think about that at the time.
right? So we see B-15 as a doctor. I didn't get the doctor's name though. Did you?
No. I was trying to come up with something clever with B-15, but
Oh, it says Dr. Willis, but it doesn't say first name. So Dr. Willis. So B-15/Dr. Willis is looking at a little girl's broken arm, or cast of a broken arm. Talking to the girl and telling her, she can't climb trees for 6 months and all this stuff. She's basically telling the little girl. The little girl's like, "Okay, but you're gonna still do this," and she's like, "Yep, I'm still gonna do this."
yeah, right with a Sharpie on the cast.
Yeah, right. Don't climb trees. Um, B-15 then leaves the exam room. As she enters the hallway, she sees Loki time slip right in front of her, and then basically disappears right in front of her again. Just like, I would be like, okay, what did I drink, or what did I ingest?
Yeah, she doesn't really freak out like I feel like most people would.
Well, I mean, she was the only one in the hallway. What's she gonna do? Like, I just saw this, and then people are gonna, like, what? You're nuts. I was gonna believe her. Uh, so then we jump to a scene with, we see what who we think is Mobius, uh, and it looks like he's riding a jet ski,
Yep.
and as he's riding his jet ski, there's a voice over him talking about the jet ski experience, and pretty hilarious.
Yeah, this is pretty much exactly. I was hoping. I knew there was going to be something about his past that was going to include jet skis, but I don't know if this is exactly what I thought it was going to be.
It was pretty. I thought it was just hilarious. Um, then a guy in the background calls for Don about his son, and on line 3, and then we see Mobius/Don getting off a jet ski with a water drop with a fan in front of him, looking like he's just riding the waves. He's very into it. Um, you see him trying to sell a jet ski to a guy, and the guy would rather have a dirt bike, and basically, he's, come on, you can be like, but he said something about Prometheus or no, Poseidon. Like you be Poseidon. And the dude walks off with a donut, basically. Just seems like he just came there for the donut. Uh, Loki then time slips outside the jet ski place, where he looks in to be like kind of in sync with the inflatable arm man. Like it was
Wacky
just like,
inflatable arm flailing tube man.
yeah, it was like, that's weird.
Oh, which actually we just got a text about the
So then we
Fortnite
see
balloons.
looking Loki looks in to the jet ski place, sees Mobius Don in the window. He then goes ahead and enters into the jet ski store and talks to Mobius and says, You are here." Oop, I spelled here wrong.
That's okay. But you said it was Don, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Don. And so Loki says TVA is gone, and Don Mobius thinks he means ATV. Which makes sense, that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty clever. ATV, TVA.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so then Mobius Don turns away to talk to the guy answering the phone, and you hear the time slipping again of Loki. So then as Mobius Don turns back, he just sees no one there. Loki's just gone. So now we jump into what we are told is Pasadena 1994 branch timeline. where we see OB.
Mm-hmm.
And OB has got a book in a bookstore. He's trying to buy it. It's not ringing up. It's like the employee's not working. And then I believe the employee looks at the back of the book or something, and it's a picture of him. He's like, "This, you're buying your own book?" Happening. And then there's the other person working there. She basically like, "Oh, it's you again," and brings out his stack of his books and like, "You can't just bring your books here and just put them, put them on our shelf." And he says something about it being, it's sci-fi, and she's like, "No one, we don't have sci-fi. We don't like sci-fi," kind of thing, like pushing them off basically.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Then we're taking an old building. At this point, I think OB is also, they listed him as AD Doug, which is funny.
His
Wonder what
author's
the
name,
AD
yeah.
stands.
Yeah, I was actually
Yeah.
literally just looking that up, but I don't think they list it.
So yeah, we enter the building he's staying at, which is like in the middle of nowhere, kind of. And when you walk in there, it kind of looks like his lab in the TVA, just not as clean. Did you
Yeah.
notice that, right? Like his whole like lab looked like his TBA
Yep.
lab.
I did notice that. Yep.
Um, let's see, where was I? Oh, so as OB walks around his shop lab, he turns on some. What the heck did I put there?
I
Anyway,
do this a lot.
yeah, hold on. He's just basically like getting everything turned on, putting books away. As that happens, Loki like time slips right in front of him. He like just throws his books in the air and just there's Loki. Then Loki sees OB and tells him he'll not believe what he's about to tell him, and OB basically he's like, "Of course I'd believe you." He relates it to one of his sci-fi book characters and coming to life and needing his help. Then Loki realizes that OB is a writer, um, but OB says that it's a side job and his main job is as a physicist. So like Loki's like, "Oh, thank God, you can actually help me still here." Uh, so he tells OB that he needs to go back to the loom, and OB says he can't and it's impossible, but not to not to let that stop him. So at that point, Loki's like, "What are you talking about, man? Like, I'm so confused." I was personally confused too. I'm like, "What's happening?" It
Yeah.
seemed like a nonsensical conversation.
Well, there was a lot of I thought it was interesting from the beginning. He was like OB or AD was not surprised. Like he seemed very just like this is reality.
Yeah.
Like it makes perfect sense that something from my book would show up in in this reality or whatever.
What if OB is actually the one pulling the strings in the background?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the impression I got from the beginning. But he's
He's
like
like already like giving himself away. Like I already know what's happening.
he's like the Jar Jar Binks theory.
He's the Beyonder.
uh,
You don't know who the
um,
Beyonder is yet, do you?
yet? No.
Well, once we get done with the last episode, then we can talk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Also worth noting is that they did an interesting thing on IMDb, non-spoilery thing, which I'm kind of surprised about, and I kind of hope they do this more. But like for all these people we're talking about, they have their name slash then an ellipsis, a dot dot dot. Like they keep it open ended. Like they play other characters technically, but they don't let you know what they are.
We'll let you know when you need to know.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, so you were talking about the impossibility of.
Oh yeah. So they talk about the time. It was a very time travel science fiction talk that going beyond between the two. A OBAD tells Loki that his time slipping, that he should be able to control it, and tells Loki to just time slip by focusing on why he needs to save the TVA. So Loki tries, and there's several times he's trying, and he just looks really foolish how he's really forcing that time slipping. It's not working. Um, so then they're like, basically Loki's done trying to do this. So then he's like, let's talk about how can science help get back to the TVA, and which doesn't exist anymore. And OB basically grabs a mug and drops some pens and says, you got to get the band back together. And talks about collecting the team to use their aura to figure out the coordinates of the TVA. OB says can't do it because they don't have a temp pad, so you can't get each location where they need it. And that's when Loki gives OB the TVA handbook that he grabbed earlier when he was at the control room before TVA kind of just went poof. We then, OB basically like, I should be able to build this. Loki says that they should get to work right away, and then he time slips again. And OB is like, oh. So we then jump back to, what is it? We jump into Cleveland 2022 branch timeline. Loki time slips right outside of Don or Mobius's house. We see him yelling at his kids about throwing their toys out, and one he finds burnt. He's like, "Is it burnt? Is this burnt?"
Yeah, sorry. I know you mentioned that he got a call from his kid or whatever at work
Yeah.
too, but I don't know if it's worth noting. He seemed to kind of like slough off the call
Oh yeah,
at
he
work,
did.
like he was. I mean, I don't know if it was just because he was tired as a single dad or whatever, or you know,
Hey, I mean, maybe. I mean, two kids on your own, that might be
two
hard.
boys specifically. Yeah,
Yeah, two boys. That's even worse.
yeah. To your point here with the burnt, whatever it was.
And then he sees, well, he finds his kid too, like, have matches, and he's lighting them. He's like, is that those matches? And he runs away, and the other basically bribes his other son by to go catch his son with the matches. So that's all happening. Uh, seems like a total Mobius Don type of situation going on. So then we see Loki shows up at Mobius Don's house, and is basically struggling to say what why he's there, and what to say. Then you got Don. I don't even know which one to say anymore. I keep on going Mobius, Don, Mobius. Anyway, he opens up his garage. Well, first off, he jumps all the toys that he had in his arms. He's like, "Oh, I gotta show you something." Then they open his garage, and he's got two jet skis in there, and trying to sell one to Loki. And
I think it's worth just henceforth Don, at least in this timeline, because
yeah,
this was before he would have been
uh,
Mobius.
but yeah, so Loki says a line to Don about, well, it was a line that Mobius said in season one about how they're like something about form and function.
Did you recognize all this or immediately?
Yeah, I recognized the same saying. I was like, oh yeah,
And had you gone back and rewatched the first season, or is this just from
I
memory?
definitely have.
Okay,
I
recently.
did before Loki season two came out.
Fair enough.
Well, yep. um, where was I here? Oh, So Loki tells Don why he's really here and who he really is, or basically tells Don that he's Mobius, and Don seems freaked out and is like telling Loki maybe you should leave, and he's just not feeling it anymore. And all of a sudden, a time door opens, and we see
Yeah, right up until that point, he was basically like, "Oh my God, this guy has
yeah,
escaped from some sort
he's
of
nuts.
institution or something. I need to save my kids."
We then see AD Doug come through a time door with the first version of a temp pad that he made, and Loki's like said to AD that was fast, and AD says if fast was 18 months, it's like I love it.
Then it gets better.
Yeah, then AD like, then says, "Oh wait, it was 19 months due to my wife leaving and that job, losing my job."
He just says it no
Damn,
nonchalant.
I know. He's like, just whatever it happened, I'm good. Like what the? So you see a time door while they're uh talking about this. It's kind of flickering while it's all happening. So it's like, okay, this is definitely a rough draft version of the temp pad. It also was super. It looked like a kind of like an accordion around his neck, like he's holding. Of course, it's 1994 technology, so do what you can. So all three go ahead and step through the flickering time door.
Whoa! Hold on.
So
Oh,
what?
yeah. Wait, 1994. So that was where. Okay,
That's
Ob
where
Ob
08.
was from '94. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then yeah. So all three step through the flickering time door, and they show up just outside of Don's house just a few minutes earlier. As Loki and Don are talking, we see like AD kind of messing with the temp pad, and the time door kind of moves up, and it looks like bad programming happening or something, where you just like move something, and all of a sudden the whole object moves up. Did you notice that it like kind of moved into the bushes, and it's just like, what the hell?
Oh, I have to go back and watch that part.
You missed it? Oh man,
I mean, I probably
it was
didn't.
hilarious
The way you're describing it, I
because
think.
it went like you're talking there. Or Don and Loki were talking, and all of a sudden you just see Ob kind of in the background, and you see the time door go like from level to like up in the air, like no one can reach it. Like, and then it moves over into the bushes and kind of flickers back down. Like
Yeah, Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
I thought it was kind of funny just how this is happening behind them. Um, so yeah, so then Loki um, tells Don he has to help him, or everyone is not safe, and even Don's boys won't be safe. Um, so assuming he probably went with them
He's
at this
like,
point.
"Come on, guys, I gotta take care of my boys."
Yeah. So
Wow.
then we jump back to New York, 2012 branch timeline. Another time door opens and behind B-15, and we see Loki come through and basically tells B-15 that this is going to sound strange. And then we cut back to the Alcatraz timeline, branch timeline, where we see Frank and the other two inmates pulling about a boat.
Did we get a year on the Alcatraz timeline?
I don't think so.
That's kind of weird. So it should be 1962, I guess, if it's the Alcatraz escape was in '62. So
Okay.
the furthest back of all these, for sure, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has to be. Well, unless he had timely, but he's not in this one.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so then yeah, he sees a time door appear behind Frank, and Loki appears and basically recruiting him because he needs him. We then go to AD's lab. Loki has everyone rounded up and are all kind of checking everything out in 1994. Um,
Oh yeah, real quick. Sorry. Yeah, worth noting that before he talks to Frank, he was all Frank slash Casey. He was all like it shows them through like, oh my God, we made it! Like we actually made it! Like they were so surprised because they just crossed the uh, Pacific Ocean, literally, right? Or, well, the bay, I guess
The
is.
bay, yeah.
But yeah, because the water's it would be basically impossible to actually make that, and naturally they were
Because they're
excited
so
about.
like, aren't they really choppy and just crazy out there?
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh. Nope. Uh, so Don starts talking to Frank, and making chit chat. Frank looks like he's trying to steal stuff, or has steals his pocketing stuff. And then you know they're Loki says that this is not everyone, and there's one more. And we then cut to McDonald's, and we see Sylvie walking to her truck as Loki, excuse me, as Loki shows up in through his time door.
So what? Do you know what year this one is supposed to be?
I think it was in 1980 something.
82. Well, 82 was where she was before. I thought this one isn't that a more modern McDonald's?
It's not. It's supposed to be the same McDonald's. That's what I'm thinking.
Was the
Because
branding not like it? Definitely looked like it was from 82 initially. Like, is this supposed to be the same or the different one that we see in front of the jet ski place?
no, this is the same one we first saw when we first found Loki or Sylvie
Okay.
in McDonald's, because that's where she went to
Well, I
after.
mean, but it could have been the same in a different timeline. But no, you're saying same
Yeah,
timeline.
I would assume, because they didn't say it was. They
Because the
would. I
slogan
think they would
changes
say.
depending on what.
I think they would say if it was a different timeline than the one they showed us already
It goes.
establishing in this show.
It's either I'm loving it or I can't even think of any of the. There's all sorts of previous slogans McDonald's would have used at the time, but she's still working there.
Yeah, why not, right? So then, yeah, Loki he starts telling her this may be strange, and she's like, "I know who you are." And Loki's like surprised, like, "Wait, what? Like, you know me? Everyone else doesn't know me, but you remember. What the hell?" And he says everyone's lives are reset, and she's like, "I know." Like, and Loki starts to time slip in front of her, and Sylvie, and then she has him get in the truck to go get a drink.
Okay, yeah. Do they explain here why though? Why she remembers?
Why what? Probably because she's a god.
So I'm gonna do you one more, and I'm gonna. This is my crazy theory. I don't think it's that simple. I think if Loki can time slip, why can't she? If they're just
Maybe she
variants
hasn't
of one
figured it
another.
out.
I mean, maybe they can time slip because they're gods. But I think her time slipping is literally the only way she would be able to remember this.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It
Maybe.
doesn't add up.
Or
Like otherwise she would have been
or it has some
spaghettified.
or it has something to do with the human remains temp pad that she still holds.
Oh, right. I think that's more accurate.
I would say
Probably.
that's probably more doable right there.
Well,
If I had to go with it.
more doable. Yeah, I guess. That checks out. They did yeah, tease that for sure.
Um so yeah, they go to the bar and talk about TVA and their friends, and their 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 lives being basically reset, and the choice to put them back in the TVA. And you know it's like a back and forth. Sylvie's like, they should be able to stay where they're at, and Loki's like, no, they should be able to make the choice to leave the TVA, or go go their lives. um And Sylvia is okay with leaving everything like it is, and asks Loki what he wants and why does he want to save TVA. And as he keeps on giving these weird answers, he basically, until he finally no, he says like he wants his friends back, and then as he says that, she's like finally orders 2 drinks of bourbon for both of them. Um, he wants his friends back because he doesn't want to be alone.
Right.
Sylvie then tells Loki his friends are where they belong in to write his own story.
But
And then she,
another part of her what she was saying here was like we're all like kind of being selfish, like asking what he wants, and like ultimately it is about what he wants because he wants his friends back.
yep, yep.
Did she take
So
both bourbon shots? Was that the deal here, or
no, it was just one.
okay?
The other one was for him, but I don't know if he took it.
She took him
Uh,
quickly and
yeah,
skedaddled, right?
basically, yeah. Just trying to get out the actual truth out of him. So back at the AD lab,
Which was he said it's described as like an old warehouse or something. It
yeah, something like
looked like a
that,
hangar almost though, or something.
and on a hill, which is weird. Frank asked questions about Tempad and where it could take him because he like asked, "Oh, could it take me here? Could it take me into a bank vault?" Or like that's all you got on your mind, man. Come on. Of course, Don talks about buying jet skis and trying to sell jet skis to everyone in the room. And then Frank says he's going to go ahead and borrow the Tempad, and then Loki comes through time door and says not to bother and that they should all go home. And basically, everything's just go home and they kind of like, well, what's going on. As that's happening, we jump back to Sylvie's timeline. She shows up to a record store and talks to the sales rep, and they talk about their days or their day.
She's clearly a regular.
Yeah, she's like the only regular. He gives Sylvie a record to listen to, just based on how she was explaining stuff from
The
the day. And
yeah, the mood she's
so
in.
she goes in the back
Oh,
to
because
listening station.
he says yeah, this will either make you feel great or horrible, basically. Like
It's a 50-50 chance.
she's like you really know how to sell.
Yeah. While she goes ahead and starts listening and just chilling on the couch, you see someone open the door, and as the door opens, that person just kind of disappears. Like it looked like almost the snap effect.
Yeah, it looked like a combination of the spaghettification and the snap, basically. But I think
Yeah.
it was more or less it was and then I guess they were trying to keep it more open ended at this point
Yep.
as to what was happening.
Yeah. So yeah, while listening to that, store reps then also seen pouring coffee, and it's basically overflowing off the desk. And as it's doing that, it starts spaghettifying out of the midair. Um, and then the store rep like turns around and looks out the window. And you can just see in the reflection of like everything just kind of spaghettifying in front of him. So he starts running towards Sylvie, and as he's running, you can see in the background behind him everything just a big spaghettified mess.
Mm-hmm.
And Sylvie basically hears him, and Sylvie tries to grab his hand, and as she does that, he just turns into more spaghetti.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Sorry. Keep going. Oh, once you're done with this part, I'll.
Um, Sylvie turns or no, Sylvie then just kind of stands up and looks. She sees like the record kind of just floating up in front of her and just kind of spaghettified. And then as like literally she's standing, it looks like a cloud of spaghetti of different colors. She opens a time door and gets out of there before she was doomed.
I forget. Does she almost like reluctantly do this kind of slowly, just because she knows what she has to do now? Kind of like she's like, ah, shit.
Probably it's like,
Yeah.
man.
Uh, so Yeah. So here's the thing. Well, you call it a time door, so obviously it goes through different timelines specifically. That's what they do.
Mhm.
I didn't really think about this being a record store specifically. So we're still thinking this is 82 that she's in though.
Yeah.
And in 82 it's already spaghettifying, like there must not be a rhyme or reason to what timeline is this is happening to when exactly. Like for all she knew, this could have already been happening in
Or
80.
it was, I mean, there's spaghettifying, there's also incursion. Maybe it was an incursion from another timeline. They kind of like hit each other.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
Because Doctor Strange, there was incursions and shit got weird in there.
Yeah, this makes this makes perfect sense to what you're saying. I didn't think I didn't think they specifically suggested that she used her temp pad when the at the back at the loom, but I mean that does make sense.
Hmm.
The
It's the
more
only thing I
you
can think of.
yeah, for sure.
Um, all right. So she goes through the time door, and that's it of her timeline. We then jump back to AD's lab. Don is talking to Loki about how, why are you telling us to leave? You said everything was in danger, and Loki needed him, and he's kind of like, what the heck? And I'm like, what's going on with my kids? And, as that's happening, or Sylvie comes through the time door and says everything is not okay. Um, timelines are going to die. She just witnessed it, and basically then they say, okay, we got to look at, we got to get the temporal. We have the temporal worlds. We have everyone here. We can try to figure this out, get the location, and they look for the temp pad. And temp pad's gone. They right away like look at Frank about the temp pad, and he's like, I don't have it.
Frank.
I like obviously he couldn't really hide the damn thing because it's built like a typewriter, It's like,
Uh-huh.
so as he's trying to defend himself, he starts spaghettifying away.
So presumably the same thing happened to the temp pad.
That's probably what happened to it. It had to. That's the only thing that makes sense. Um, so then after he spaghettifies, then we get AD. He starts going spaghettification way, and then we get
Taking a one-way trip down spaghettification lane.
then B-15 doctor. She's next, and then see Don. He's like,
Dr.
I gotta get back
B-15.
to my kids, and he just um
Yeah,
and
okay, so this was like I wasn't really sold on Owen Wilson's performance in this particular scene. Like it was, oh, I gotta run away, and then it's gotta
yeah.
be like I was like, what?
Yeah, it seemed a little weird. I remember that.
But to be fair, there were like we need to CGI you into spaghetti, so that's probably the hardest part of it.
Right? Trying to just, how do I act like I'm going to be a spaghetti dish? Is there meatballs with me?
Is this gonna wind up in Lady and the Tramp?
So as everything is everyone's spaghettified now, and now basically Loki's in the lab with spaghettifying around him, and he then time slips a few seconds earlier to Sylvie and sees Sylvie there, and as she's saying, I don't remember what she said, like everything's dying or something, or I can't remember exactly.
Ah, he's
But
controlled it.
no, not Sylvie. Oh, Sylvie didn't say that, but then anyway, um, where was I?
Yeah, so he jumped just a few
Oh yeah,
moments
as
earlier.
everything okay. So Loki then slips again back to the earlier version of him when Sylvie just came through the time door, and Loki says that he figured it out how
Yay!
how to you know stop his control his time slipping, and as kind of turns and tells AD that he figured it out, and he's like, oh, okay, good, and says he figured it out and based on who it's about.
Yeah, and that part I was a little like, okay. Trying to wrap my head around that. Because, yeah, I
So
don't know if we mentioned that, like, the whole thing, OB's, or AD's, like, he goes on, he's talking about what's science and what's fiction,
yeah,
and then he talks about science is about the what, and fiction is about the why. Was that what it was?
yeah, something. And there's the Who, and it
It's
got
about the
confusing.
band The Who the whole time.
Could have probably extended this whole script here for like another 2 pages if you want to get into that one.
Mm-hmm.
I opted not to.
Just brief mention.
So yeah, he says he figures it out, and then all of a sudden he time slips back to the loom where we see OB standing
Yay!
in front of the stairs to the loom airlock, and then end scene.
Oh boy, and are we in for a journey of the next episode? Let me just tease that.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
yep. Good stuff though. Fun. This is a fun episode. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. A lot of jumping everywhere.
that's for
Made my
true.
made my head spin a little bit.
Well, hate to make it spin any further, but
I'll give it a 4.3.
4.3. That's Ooh, it's not bad. It's not. It's pretty close to what I was thinking. I think. I'm gonna say 4.2 for this one. So, yeah, yeah. It was good. That was a good episode, but didn't quite. I feel like the last episode was so caught me so off guard, and I think that was not that that's whatever. I feel like I don't want to get into like movies that break expectations that may or may not be science fiction and or contain lightsabers that Mike may or may not like. But let's just say subverting expectations doesn't always go over well with fans. But in this particular case, I really enjoyed that part of the last episode. And this one was like good. It was, I guess, and it did somewhat, but it's like it was almost kind of like we were thrown into, kind of like the whole time we're like leading up to, oh my God, where did all these people come from? Like, what's their origins, their backstories? And it's just kind of like in a single episode, we see all of them at once. They had to like cram it all into a single episode. And I think that's maybe to its detriment, but still, not
They
bad.
also had to make a lot of changes because of certain things.
Oh, yeah. Was that for true?
Mm-hmm.
What, Jonathan Major
Which,
stuff you're saying?
yeah, which they
This
made.
day is the last couple of days as official with that whole
And
thing.
that's why they redid stuff because I think they were kind of on that like
They're like,
they
yeah, what do
could
we do
save it, or
here?
they we'll see. But
Mm-hmm.
hence why once we get to the last episode and we can talk more about it because it'll make sense.
Mm. Yeah. So I wondered about that. You think they did change the course of their original plans already?
They left 2 alleys open just in case. One
Yeah.
for the future and kind of like a just in case path.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So
Well,
yeah.
yeah. That's That's it for this one. We got one more to go, and then I guess we may or may not talk about Echo still. I don't know. We'll see. That'll be a quicker one. I don't know how long those episodes are, but probably got some
I
time.
know What If starts tomorrow. The first episode comes out, so I'm gonna be probably check that out while I'm working because I don't think work's gonna be busy tomorrow. Hopefully, knock on wood.
The thing about that's fair. The thing about the live act, like, since that's what we focus on here, is the live action Disney stuff. I know there's like Skeleton. Wait, a Skeleton Crew? No, wait, that's the Jude Law one.
That's Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, so that's one. We got time on that one yet? Isn't there like two different Star Wars?
They have also Acolyte, and then they have Andor season 2 coming out.
Goodness! So that stuff's all potentially coming up.
There's only one Marvel movie coming out in 2024, so
right.
And
but for this show, yeah, we always talked about doing a movie review, but we never get around to it. I guess feels like like doing individual episodes is a lot already.
Think about a movie, you have to. That would take forever just to try to get everything down. Yeah, no.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us tonight. Yeah. That'll about do it right here.
It's about here.
Thanks so much for joining us. Hey, disnerdsplus@gmail.com is the email address you can use to contact us if you would like. The website is disnerdsplus.com. We are still recording Thursdays. My bad. I missed out on 7:30 p.m. Central tonight, and we wound up doing after it. Well, it was after 8:30. It was late. That was my fault.
This is probably the latest one so far.
Actually, it's not. I think I was a little bit later on one of the previous couple, but or around. It was about the same maybe, but yeah. So Thursdays, let's say 7:30, 8:30-ish. Twitch.tv/.
There's only one next week, and then there's nothing happening for a while. A little bit.
Well, Echo is it'll be like the next week.
Really?
I think so.
I'm not doing all 5 episodes in one night.
No. Definitely not doing that. But stay tuned. We may get to those sooner or later. But all right. Hey, you can follow Mike at Cool as a Cucumber. You can follow me at Shave Mad Ox. And until next time, for all time, always.
Later.
Bye. Hello, Herschel and Liquid Smoke in chat. Sorry for not responding earlier. Got the I'm not sure who Liquid Smoke is. Do we know you, Liquid Smoke?
Nice.
Or you did you just happen to come upon us? Yeah, the CGI Herschel came in on CGI Unit Spaghetti, and that was that was already like pretty much at the end of what we were talking about. But what was Tempting Fate exactly? Did we miss Did we miss Liquid Smoke here? They might still be in here. Mike talking about tomorrow being an easy being an easy work day.
I'm hoping.
Tempting Fate. Yep. Could be. Knock on that there wood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're a.
I hate air. Oh, what do we got here? Just after 10.
Yep. I'm gonna go to bed in a little bit, and yeah,
Yeah?
get through the last day of the week and have a 3-day weekend. Woohoo!
Woohoo! All right. Yeah. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks,
Yeah.
Mike. We'll see you soon. Happy holidays to everyone, by the way.
Yeah.
That
Happy
whole
holidays.
thing. Yeah.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.